Hey, this is Nidhi and I'm an expert here at EnglishWise. I have actually coached more than 3,000 to 4,000 people over the past 4 years, and I've noticed one little thing. It doesn't really get easier, especially when you're preparing for your PT. One such task that I think a lot of students actually are really concerned about and are really feeling challenged about is repeat sentences, guys. It's a very simple task by nature. You are listening to a recording and you make sure that you speak the exact same sentences back into your microphone. Now, what seems so challenging about it? Probably the use of words and the choice of words used by the recording. And sometimes we're not really used to speaking in English. I'm here to make this video to make sure that you guys are understanding what strategy sort of is going to be easier for you and how you can do it. Right? So without any further ado, let's get into this video and let's try to make sure that repeat sentences are not so challenging anymore. Guys, first of all, when it comes to repeat sentences, you need to understand what is its requirement and how are they interpreted in terms of your score in your PTE scorecard, right? Let's start with the number of questions. You get about 10 to 12 questions in repeat sentences, where 10 is your average, right? Nothing to be worried about if you get 11 or 12. Always understand it's anywhere between 10 and 12. Point number 2, what is your marking criteria? The marking criteria for repeat sentences happens to be 13 points, guys. So these 13 points get divided between 3 categories. The first category being fluency, the second category being pronunciation, and the last one is content. So 5, 5 and 3 comes up to 13 points. Now let's understand these criteria a little bit better so that we don't really have to Google for their definitions. First one is your fluency. Fluency is a very simple thing, guys. The way I'm speaking right now is fluent. In other words, you need to make sure that you are not speaking the words that you listen to you in individual words. You need to make sure that you're speaking them like a sentence without any hesitation or unnecessary pauses. And that's what fluency really means, right? Moving on to pronunciation, you don't have to be worried about that again. First of all, understand what pronunciation is, the way I talk, right? Now that is entirely dependent on the dialect that I use at home. Remember one little thing. It's a funny little tip here, guys. When you actually book your exam, and there is one question that says, what language do you most often speak at home? And I've seen a lot of people choosing English. Now that's a huge misconception again. Just because you are doing an English exam doesn't mean your actual language that you speak at home happens to be English, right? Please make sure the language that you actually speak at home is the one in your list. You can just scroll down and find out the language, right? Now that is really important and crucial for the way your pronunciation gets marked. Because how you speak at home is the way you are being judged in speaking in English. We'll get into that a bit more later. And finally, the most important, content. Content is basically the words that you listen to in your recording. How much percentage of that are you actually able to deliver? I'll break it down a bit for you. If you are able to speak anywhere between 75 to 100% of the recording, you get 3 points. Moving on. If you speak between 50 to 75, it's about 2 points. And if you speak anywhere between 25 to 50%, 1 point. Anything lower than that, which is less than 25%, you don't end up getting any score. Now, I do understand a lot of students come for different score requirements and you accordingly tend to speak your content. But preferably, guys, we will always make sure that we stick to 75% of our content to make sure that if I speak really well in repeat sentences, please understand, this is what I'm going to call transferable score right here. You will get points in listening. You heard that right. When you do your repeat sentences good, or if you do your repeat sentences in the best way possible, you will be getting score not only in speaking, but also in listening. It's very simple, guys, because it's repeat sentence, right? I will basically listen to something and then I speak what I hear. So I'm getting 2 communicative skills that's being judged, my listening and my speaking, which is why you have transferable scores. If you want to know the rough amount of figure that goes into listening, if all of your repeat sentences are correct, it's about 30 points, guys. And remember something, it is really important for you to capture that 30 points because there is no saying how your listening module is going to be. So remember, don't have this preset mind where you say that, okay, I'm only going to grab like 5 sentences accurately and the other 4 not so accurately. Reason is, the more you accumulate your points, if your listening module happens to be difficult, you always have your repeat sentences to back you up, right? So I hope you actually understood how many questions you actually get and what the marking criteria is. Another tip right here for all our listeners: please make sure when you listen to the recording, you have to speak within 3 seconds of your microphone opening, or else you don't end up getting any score for that particular task. Always remember this. Don't be busy writing your notes. Always have a very interactive session with the computer. Look at the computer and also look at the notes that you're making. Now, coming down to the most interesting part, your strategy, right? Now, there's a lot of strategies out there. And I know that a lot of students use strategies in very different ways and in ways that is more comfortable to them. I would say one small thing here, guys, try to push your comfort zone a little bit, because if you do, you're going to end up having a strategy which is 100% going to help you get the score, right? Now, the strategy that I actually use here at EnglishWise is, when I'm listening to the recording, I am going to repeat the recording in a very soft voice by writing down initials. Now, what I mean by initials is, when I hear the sentence, John has PTE classes, which is on your screen right now, you basically take down JHPC, standing for J John, has H, PTEP, and classes C. So basically, guys, you're trying to kickstart your shorter memory by doing this. But the method that I actually told you, let's go back to that. Repeating the recording when the recording is playing. So when they say John has PT classes, I want you to make sure that you repeat that in a very soft voice and write down your initials. By doing this, you're kickstarting your short-term memory, and I assure you guys, I don't think you're going to forget that particular sentence, right? Apart from this, there are a couple of other strategies as well. You only note down initials if you think that you're going to be able to remember it. And number 3, a lot of students prefer to close their eyes and just sort of reminisce the sentence that they've heard, and then they just repeat it, which works well as well. The last one is another easier strategy for all of you guys. It's called combination strategy. Yes. Now, let's say you are a person who is able to remember about 5 words in your short-term memory, and the last 3 or 4 or 5 words, you can write them down as initials. Or you can also inverse that now, right? If you can, you write the first 4 to 5 words as initials and remember the last 4 to 5 words. Again, this all really depends on the size of your repeat sentence, guys. So I really hope we've got 4 strategies. I think one of them should definitely help you. So I'll repeat them again. Number 1, you repeat your recording in a soft voice by writing down initials, or you use your initial method just by itself. Number 3, you make sure that you register it in your short-term memory. Or number 4, you use your combination strategy. But at the end of the day, guys, it's really, really important for listening. So please, please make sure that repeat sentences is your priority. And if you use these strategies, you will see it becoming less challenging day by day.